Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. So this is the When Your Income Drops class. My name is Karen Ritchell, and I am the University of Idaho Extension educator. I teach financial literacy education for the 10 northern counties of Idaho, and I sometimes hop over to Washington once in a while just because we don't have a financial educator over there, so it just people borrow me once in a while. So this class is it is an original creation from Michigan State University Extension called Navigating Money Challenges, Tools to Manage Finances Through the COVID-19 Crisis. So this was specifically developed for our circumstances right now. So the first few slides are a little bit they're a little content heavy with the new CARES Act, so don't leave me quite yet. There is quite a bit of information in the first part, and then we go on to finish it out and help you with this. But what do you do when your income drops? This is a question that a lot of people are asking right now, and there is so much information that's swirling around about what to do, where to go, where not to go. But is anybody really telling us what you need to do when your income suddenly drops unexpectedly? So what this workshop does is it will help you with the steps that you need to take to help prioritize your current expenses. It'll help you stabilize your financial situation and help you find some resources to get through this specific time. So in addition, we will talk about how to protect your financial self in the future to make sure that you don't have an income drop that will be financially debilitating. So we are going to go to the next slide, and you need to remember that you need to breathe and relax. Breathing and relaxing is so very important for the things that we are doing. Take a deep breath and try to refocus. Together we can make this be a really good plan that's going to actually work for you. So we're going to get to work, and that there is a lot of help out there. So don't just think that you're stuck. There is a ton of help out there. So like I say, the first few slides are really, they're really content heavy, and I'm going to stop at certain points and do a check. So if you have questions, definitely hold on to those questions for just a second, and we'll get there. So some of us have already started receiving the stimulus checks that are coming through. They started going through this week, and they will continue to go through. So what is happening is that a qualified taxpayer, 18 years and older, that has eligible Social Security number, and that they've worked with that and cannot be claimed as a dependent, can get $1,200 per taxpayer. So that is about 90% of the taxpayers should receive some form of this recovery rebate. This is actually called the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or better known as the CARES Act. So the other thing is that it's income-based. So an individual that receives less than $75,000 a year in income, they'll be eligible for it. A married couple filing jointly, less than $150,000, and then it is reduced for every $5 for every $100 over the income threshold. So I'll give you a couple scenarios with that too. Plus, you get $500 per child claimed as a dependent on your income taxes. So what that means is that If you are a single taxpayer with one child under 17, you would be eligible for $1,700. It's the $1,200 plus the $500. If you are a married couple, you would be eligible for $2,400 plus however many children that you have. If you are a single individual that makes over $85,000, that's $10,000 over that $75,000 threshold, your stimulus check would be $700 because it takes away from every 100 that is over. And so it just keeps going down like that. A married couple who makes 160,000 would receive 1,900, and anybody over 99,000 for individuals or 198 for married couples would actually not receive the check. So the initial amount paid will be based on either the taxpayer's 2018 or 2019 income tax return. So it's whichever one was filed latest. You don't have to do anything to get this. So it's just, you're going to get either you're going to get it mailed. So you will get a mail check, and that will start coming in May, or you will get a direct deposit, and that will start happening now. There are lots of scams going on. So if somebody calls you saying that they're from the IRS and they need to know your bank account information, they will not call you from the IRS. They are going directly off of your income tax filings. So if you had your income tax sent to you as a check, you're going to get it in May. If you are getting it, if you had it direct deposited, you are going to get it in the next week or so. The next thing that they're doing is this CARES Act is the federal student loan debt. They have actually paused student loan payments until September 30th. So it's just completely suspended. What that means is that no interest will be accrued during this time. So required payments will be suspended, but voluntary payments are not prohibited. So if you want to go ahead and pay, you can go ahead and do that. It's also notable that this period of time will continue to count towards any loan forgiveness programs. And you don't need to do anything. You don't need to apply to suspend your payments. The federal student loan borrowers do not need to take any action to suspend payments. Your federal loan service provider will actually suspend all payments without any action from you. So that's pretty cool. So unemployment insurance, this is another big thing, because for people that have already lost their jobs, or for the countless more that are likely to lose their jobs in the coming week, there is great news here. So they have what they call the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. And what this is that self-employed individuals who are generally ineligible for unemployment compensation benefits, and all others who are ineligible for regular unemployment or extended unemployment or pandemic unemployment insurance, or if they're about to run out of such insurance, will actually be eligible for up to 39 more weeks of benefits through this provision. So the CARES Act also offers to pay states to provide unemployment benefits immediately without the normal 1-week waiting period, which is a huge thing. Right now, Idaho and Washington, stuff is starting to slow down just a little bit. And so unemployment is not as hard to get into as it was. But if you are having that difficulty, definitely just keep trying to get back into it, because they will actually go back to that first week. So when you were unemployed, the date that you were unemployed, they will go back and pay you back for that. So keep trying to get in there. That regular unemployment compensation has actually been bumped up to an additional $600 per week. So this is very helpful. This will go for the first 4 weeks or 4 months of that unemployment. So an average weekly unemployment benefit for most states is just under $400. So that's going to help increase that quite a little bit. Then the unemployment compensation has been extended for 13 weeks in the event that people are nearing or ultimately reach that maximum of unemployment compensation provided under state laws. The CARES Act will actually allow them to receive benefits for an additional quarter. So the best thing to do is contact your State Department of Labor office or their website for more details. But there is definitely help out there. Don't get discouraged. It is a little difficult. I know I have several people that are very discouraged because they can't get through. So the healthcare provision, what that does is it redefines basically what qualified medical expenses are for the purpose of health savings accounts, medical savings accounts, and healthcare flexible saving or spending accounts. So it has expanded to now cover over-the-counter medications as well. And this one is a tough one because I always tell people do not mess with your retirement if at all possible. So use this as the last resort if you absolutely have to. But with your retirement, they are waiving your 10% early withdrawal penalty before retirement for your IRAs, your 401ks, and your 403bs. So basically anybody that is age 59 and a half or under 59 and a half can access the retirement funds without that normal penalty. It is also not subject to mandatory withholding requirements, which is usually at least 20%. So, but it has to be coronavirus related distributions. So they are exempt from this requirement. Plans that rely on the participant's self-certification that they meet the requirement of the coronavirus-related distribution when processing that distribution without mandatory withholding. So that just means that you're not going to have to pay that 20% if you can verify that this is for coronavirus-related stuff. So they are also suspending required minimum distributions for 2020 for traditional IRAs, SEP IRAs, and simple IRAs, as well as 401ks, 403bs, and government 457b plans. There's going to be enhancements to loans from employer-sponsored retirement plans. So you can take a portion of the loan from the retirement assets, and those will include a maximum of up to $100,000, which it used to be, or it is $50,000, but the CARES Act will actually double that retirement loan provision. Plus, if you're 100% vested, if you have a vested balance, you can use that balance as long as it exceeds $20,000, and you can take a loan up to 50% of that amount. The normal maximum is up to 50, but the CARES Act amends this rule for the affected individuals and allows them to take the loan equal to their vested plan balance dollar for dollar up to $100,000. So they can also delay payments, any payments that would otherwise be owed on a plan, a loan plan, from the date of enactment through the end of 2020 may be delayed for up to 1 year. So you definitely want to talk with your financial advisor before you make any decisions like this. This information really is for educational purposes only. So like I said, this was really content heavy, but it's important that you know what this CARES Act does. There's a lot of information that's going on out there, and so we want you to make sure that you know exactly what these benefits are for you. So when your income drops, it is important that when it comes to financial fears, that debt often tops the list of anxieties, and it is not properly managed. If it's not taken care of, it's going to throw you for a loop. So whether you have credit card debt, student loan debt, or you're worried about losing your home or your car, debt is often a major stress point in households. So last week we did the stress and finances class. That class is going to be posted up on my website. I'll send everybody links to my website so that you can go and look at any of the classes that we've done. So some of you may have never been in a situation dealing with a sudden income loss before, like we're experiencing right now. And we really want to make sure that everybody is taken care of. So these are the things that you can do. And many creditors right now are offering deferment options. And we're going to talk about each one of them on the slides in this presentation. So these are just some of the things you can do. Make sure you take stock of your family and community resources. Recognize changes, even if temporary, and how that impacts your family household financial affairs. Make sure you're setting spending priorities. Involve the entire family. Prioritize creditors and debts. Watch for scams and make your action plan. So I realize that some of you probably didn't get the handouts. These handouts are, there's 150 pages in this handout packet. So I apologize for that ahead of time, but they will be on the website, so you can download them from the website. If you want, I can try to put them in a Dropbox for you if you want them before they get up on the website. But there are a lot of different handouts here, and we're going to talk about all of these, and you'll get them in the packet. So make a spending plan. If you don't already have a spending plan, this is really an important thing. People use different ways to manage their money, but if you can answer yes to any of the following questions, a spending plan will help prevent a problem, the problem that's described. If your money seems to disappear before the next paycheck, do you wonder where your money went? Do you have difficulty paying for basic needs like food and transportation? Do you need to borrow money to cover expenses each month? Do you pay some bills late every month? Do you receive collection notices for past due bills? Do you only pay the minimum on your credit accounts? Do you have trouble finding money for gifts and holiday shopping? So if you feel out of control, having that detailed income and expense spending plan will actually help you with this. So it helps you prepare for unexpected expenses. It also shows you how your money is being spent. Plus, it helps you reach your goals. So developing a spending plan is super simple. A lot of people think that it's a hard thing to do this, but it really isn't. So there are tons of different systems for keeping track of your expenses. You've got them online, you've got them. I Googled spending plans one time, and there was like 80 billion different spending plans that you could find. And so there's tons of different ways that you can develop one that works for you. I've got a wonderful packet that is also online, or you can email me and I'll give that to you too, called Better Budgeting 101. And it tells you exactly how to create a spending plan. So to develop a spending plan that's going to work for your household, you really need to make sure that you find one that is going to work for everybody in the house. So you want to help you reduce that anxiety and that stress that you have for the money situation that's coming in. It also gives you a sense of control over your money rather than letting your money have control over you. Plus, it helps you build assets that will improve the quality of your life for you and your family. There are 4 basic steps to preparing any spending plan. First, keep track of your daily spending. Determine your monthly income and expenses. Find ways to decrease spending and find ways to increase income. So all of these things are very easy to do. So select a record keeping system that works for you. Determine a monthly income goal. Figure out a list of monthly expenses. Estimate flexible monthly expenses. Rank your financial goals and their cost. Discuss what your family's needs and wants are. And then set up a regular savings plan that goes right along with the spending plan, and then revise as needed. So this is just a sample of a spending plan. And again, there are tons of them out there, but it's really important that you really be honest with your spending. So list what you have right now. So what was your income before it was reduced, and what is it now? And how can we adapt those bills so that we make sure that there's enough to cover everything. And if you have any questions, if you want help with your spending plan, definitely get in touch with me. I am an accredited financial counselor and a certified money coach, and I can do one-on-one Zoom meetings with you right now, and we can sit down and we can go through everything, and I can work with you. It is free. Everything that I do is free of charge, so definitely get in touch with me if you're having issues. So this just shows the steps to creating a spending plan. You add up all your income, including any assistance that you have. You subtract your savings, because you want to make savings a regular expense, and all your expenses, your fixed, your flexible, and your occasional expenses. So that is what you have left. Whatever you've got left, if it's in the red, we need to fix that. If it's in the black, we're doing good. If it's in the way black, that's excellent. So when you have all of your income sources listed for each week, add the columns and write down the total at the bottom of each one. Then add up the weekly amounts to figure out what your total monthly income is. When you have everything all listed, your expenses for each week, add the columns and write down the total. Then add up the weekly amounts to figure out your total monthly expenses. This is really important to do this because there really isn't a magic pill to increase income and decrease your expenses. It really is a combination of both. So I'm going to open up the lines here, and we're going to check in and make sure everybody is still doing okay. So I'm going to unmute all of us. And if you're not unmuted, does anybody have any questions so far?
I think
I
there was
don't.
a question in the chat box.
And actually, I can't see the chat box while we're doing the presentation. So if there's something in the chat box, I'll grab it at the very end if that works. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Okay. So we will go ahead and keep going though. Does anybody have a spending plan? Do you all have a spending plan right now?
Yes.
Nope.
Sort of.
No.
No.
Sorta. Okay.
Yes,
Well,
I do. One.
I'm expecting some calls afterwards, so definitely give me a call, and we'll help you with a plan so that you have a plan. So even if your income hasn't dropped, we have a plan that will keep you going. So Okay, well, we're going to keep going, then I'm going to mute you all again, and we're going to go again. So when you're managing debt, on this screen, there are topics that we'll cover for this section on managing debt, but by the end of the section, you should have a fairly solid plan in place for you and your family in order to remain sustainable and viable in these troubling times. So our goal for today is to help you discover what your priorities are, how to go about making sure that your bills are actually paid. So some danger signs to assist you in knowing when you may be getting in over your head and breaking your own debt down is to know exactly how much you owe. So be friends with your debt. Know who your debt is. What is your debt doing for you? Set those spending priorities. What needs to be paid first? And then that danger sign of too much debt. So how to figure this one out? This one's a tough one. So think about your bill paying process. Who pays your bills? If it's usually best to select one responsible person to pay the bills, but it's important to make sure that everybody is involved in the process. Who opens your mail when it arrives? How do you usually pay your bills? Add any of these answers that are missing, like cash or check, money order, debit or credit cards, online bill payments from mobile app, even prepaid credit cards. There's lots of different ways that you can pay your bills. So what do you do with your statement after you pay a bill? The best practice is to place it in an organized record-keeping file folder, either a hard copy or an electronic one, and keeping the most current monthly statements as long as you need to have proof of that payment or until it clears your financial account. There is a packet in your resource guide called Getting Prepared, Getting Organized, and Starting Over. So there's a bunch of information in there that helps you with setting up a monthly filing system and how long to keep those important documents. It is also important to understand your values as well as those of the people that live with you. So are you savers? Are you spenders? Where do you agree and disagree? How will you deal with those differing ideas? Communicate and listen to make sure that everybody's on board with the decisions you make, because if they're not, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get through. So figure out what the plan is with the household and use what is going to make the most sense for your family to figure out which bills gets paid first. So definitely size up the situation, and you need to look at what your spending plan is. If you haven't already created a spending plan, you need to do that just to make sure that you know where your money is being spent. Tracking every penny is a little bit scary, and especially when those pennies are dwindling. But you need to look at your spending plan to see where you can make some changes and decide on what extras you can do without for a while. When I say for a while, it is important to remember that this is a point in time and that things will go back to normal and everything will be fine and everything will stabilize. So we just have to remember that this is how we deal with this stuff right now. So think about your needs and wants and what you can go without for just a little while, whether it's the extra cable package or eating out or shopping or any of that stuff, stopping for a latte, whatever it is that you're having to cut back on. Just really think about this. And we've all been kind of some of our stuff has been stopped for us, so we really just need to think about how we can take this as an opportunity to really work with our bills so that we don't have a lot of bills racking up. Next, you need to look at when you're looking at paying bills, you need to prioritize and ask yourself this question: what will I lose if I don't pay this bill? If you don't pay your mortgage and your rent, what do you lose? If you don't pay your car payment, what do you lose? When it comes to an item like child support, back taxes, student loans, you need to make sure that you're contacting the appropriate authorities if you're struggling to make payments. For child support, speak with your attorney. For back taxes, contact your county treasurer's office. For student loans, contact your service provider. Ask them if there are programs that can assist you. Definitely limit your use of credit cards as much as possible and try not to add to your debt. If you're thinking about consolidating and then not adding debt, this is a good plan. It is a must until current debt is paid off. So you can't add any more to when you're consolidating loans. And then make a plan and stick with it. Discipline really is a must. You really need to think about that. So we hear the word essential a lot anymore. And so, but this is true. These are the essential bills. When you have a month where you have more bills than income, how do you decide which bill to pay first? And so it's important to understand what might happen if you fall behind. Many creditors, including mortgage lenders, auto and credit card companies, are offering free deferments during the COVID-19 pandemic. Take advantage of those services. So this does not mean forgiveness. You will eventually have to pay back what you owe, but you may be able to skip a payment for now. There are a lot of banks that are offering free car payments or free mortgage payments for the next couple of months, that they just tack it on to the end of your bill. So think about the choices as you move through the bills of what to pay and what not to pay. What are your most critical needs versus your non-essential bills? And then make a plan to pay the most important bills that month. Weigh the risk of not paying those certain bills right now as they affect a job or housing, utilities, insurance, and other obligations. Also consider the consequences of a late or missed payment on a particular debt. This might help you prioritize which bills to pay and which ones to call to ask about different options. If a creditor agrees to work something out with you, ask for it in writing. Always make sure that you get it in writing. Clients need to take precautions to limit the damage to their credit score. Your credit is really important. We're going to be doing another class called How to Be a Credit Score Millionaire, and that one is really awesome on how to keep your credit stabilized. So when prioritizing your bills, there is a 3-page worksheet in your resources. So definitely write down what your essential bills are and think about the consequences of those you cannot pay, or make arrangements with those that your creditors. So there's all sorts of different things in here. This is a great resource. These resources come from the consumer financial, now I'm going to draw a blank. I'll grab it here in a minute. Here, let me see. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. It's in your resources section here. It's the CFPB. It's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and they have amazing resources. So definitely look into their different resources. There's tons of them. This one's a big one, so no matter if you're struggling with your debt or not, it's always really important to make sure that you stay in communication with your creditors. So have your information handy, your account number, your verifying information, and details about your current situation and your ability to pay on time. So you can contact your creditors or your landlord, student loan servicer, your credit card company, your mortgage servicer. So definitely get in touch with them as soon as bill paying becomes an issue. Don't wait. Don't think that you're going to be able to handle this. If it could save you from paying late fees and penalties, that's definitely what you want to do. Creditors are more willing to work with you if you maintain contact with them. So make sure that you are prepared when you're contacting creditors, have all of that information handy, and be really transparent with them. Don't lie. Be honest with your assessment of your situation. Don't promise that you're going to pay $200 when you really only have $10 left. They are going to work with you on this. Follow through with any agreed upon payment plans, so don't be late. Once you have said that you're going to do this, make sure that you get it there on time. And if you are having trouble making ends meet, contact your creditors immediately. Tell them why it's difficult for you, and try to work out a modified payment plan that reduces your payments to a more manageable level. During the coronavirus epidemic, most creditors will be willing to work with you, but you have to call them. They don't know what's going on. They're just assuming that everything is going along smoothly. So ask how to apply for their assistance programs, but don't let your financial situation go from bad to being worse because you are afraid to call your creditor. So, and debt collection, if they contact you, don't ignore it. Sometimes we put things off, which can make us feel like we are frozen and cannot move forward. But ask, why do you procrastinate on this? This is important. But if you do get a call from a creditor, a collection agency, make sure that you get the name and of the creditor, and the name, address, and telephone number of the collection agency, and the exact amount of the account that's being claimed to be due. So explain your current situation and tell them how much of the bill you're able to pay according to your repayment plan from the budget that you've created. And if you do not believe that you owe the amount claimed or disagree in other ways, make sure that your reasons are known promptly in writing to both the creditor and the collection agency. So there are sample letters of dispute available in your packet. So definitely take a look at that. And keep notes of everything, all your communications with your creditors. This is important, like the date that you called, who you talked to, the name and the employee ID number, and what you discussed and any agreements that are made. This is important to log this information. You also want to make sure that you have an accurate picture of exactly how much income you can count on each month and how much you need to pay for essential monthly living expenses. Then you can talk honestly with your creditors about your debts. Write down your notes and questions and keep track of all your details. Be prepared to explain the following: the reason that you cannot pay, the current income and prospects of future income, other financial obligations that you have, your plans to bring your current debt up to date and keep it current, including the amount you were able to pay each month. And then write down what you and the creditor decided and what you will need to do to follow up on the committed plan. So definitely there are things that you can do: reducing monthly payments, deferring that payment, stopping or reducing all late charges, paying only the interest on the loan, refinancing the loan, just voluntarily surrendering the item that you purchased, selling the item to satisfy the debt, but you are still responsible for that item. So, and think about how this is going to actually affect your credit report and your score. And we'll talk about these items of negotiation too in the how to be a credit score millionaire. So if you cannot stop buying things you don't need or you can't afford, this is definitely a debt warning sign. So if you're if you're avoiding looking at your bills, or you have a stack of bills on the table and you just are leaving them there because you just can't deal with them, that's an issue too. Advances on your credit card to pay your monthly expenses. If you're taking out future income to pay current expenses, that's not a good plan. If you charge more on your credit cards than you pay each month, another big debt warning sign. Red flags are something that you really need to be looking at even before like the current crisis that we're in. Many of them may be completely beyond your control. So these suggestions, we're not placing blame or criticizing. We're simply saying that there are different ways that you can go about doing this. If you're not aware of how much money is needed each month to cover your living expenses, or if you don't know how much is actually owed in total debt, if more than 15% of your take-home pay goes to credit payments, if you usually pay only the minimum of your credit cards. After looking through all these warning signs, the rule of thumb is that if you say yes to any of these statements, then there's probably a little bit of a problem with your credit. So avoid serious issues by making changes now. Work on one or two of these areas and then continue with all areas until they're all addressed. These are points for awareness to prevent additional credit issues, not pointing blame. So this will help you. So this makes a comprehensive list of all your creditors. Create your debt log by writing down how much you owe. You can find out this worksheet in your resource packet or the assessing your financial situation part of your packet. It's in the very back of it. So start by listing all the debts, go down the left hand side of the paper for each line item, list the creditor, the APR, the balance remaining, the debt priority, the monthly payment amount, the number of payments behind, the dollar amount behind, and whether or not it is in collection. Create the spreadsheet. It is by having just this really great visualization of what is owed and who is owed. This is also kind of intimidating when you look at it, because you'll see it and you'll think, oh, I cannot believe that we owe this much. There is another really cool website that you can go to called powerpay.org, POWERPAY.org, and it is through Utah State Extension, and it is completely free, and it is an amazing tool to help you with your debt reduction and debt repayment plan. So here we are to check-in again. How's everybody doing? Are we all doing okay? I'll unmute us for a second.
I'm doing good.
Okay, we're just going to keep going then. If everybody's okay, and I'll check the chat box here in just a little bit. So the next thing is home ownership. So if you're having a hard time with home ownership, you want to make sure that you contact the servicer to see what different options might be available. Forbearance, payment reduction, modification, that kind of thing. They will most likely have you go online to their website, or they might send out paperwork to be completed for these options. If you are receiving unemployment and keeping your home as a priority, making your mortgage payment is definitely a top priority. So there are resources and links for mortgages and questions to ask of your servicer in the packet. You can also contact the county treasurer about taxes. So you can find out exactly what the foreclosure date is. So some of the states have actually done an emergency declaration, and they've made it so the foreclosure date is not as soon. Many treasurers will also make payment arrangements for delinquent property taxes. All you have to do is contact them and talk to them about eligibility for poverty exemption for your property taxes. we have those here in Latah County. So contact your association treasurer for association fees about delinquent fees. There's all sorts of different things that they can do for you. And like I said before, we need to really make sure that we are watching for scams. So there are identity theft scams going around. Anybody that's promising you stimulus money now, that the stimulus money is coming through direct deposit, but not through checks. The checks will start coming in May. If they're asking for fees before they help you with any assistance, again, do not give anybody information that cannot help you. If they are guaranteeing a loan, that's not helping either. The stimulus is actually helping individuals, but also businesses. So if you're small businesses, there are small business loans that are available out there. Plus, if it sounds too good to be true, it most likely is. So just make sure that you're not giving any information out, any bank information, any social security numbers, anything like that, because most likely it is a scam and you want to be really careful with it. So there are two types of identity theft fraud that's going around right now. The true name fraud, where the thief actually pretends to be another person. A phone caller might say that they're a relative in trouble and ask for money to be sent on a gift card. They might even say that they have novel coronavirus and the hospital requires an upfront payment, which they do not have before the hospital won't do that. The second type is an account where the fraud, where the thief actually takes over your financial accounts and or opens up new accounts in your name. So if they get a hold of your credit card number or personal information and they purchase expensive items in another state where you haven't even been on that date, you can report that information to the ftc.gov. There is also our identity theft presentation is already up on my website too, and you can go and take a look at that. There's a ton of great resources out there on my website. So make sure that you're using a secure web browser when you're using your computer. This just tells you exactly what you need to look for. The HTTPS, the little lock sign. Make sure that you're logging out and signing off whenever you're getting in and out of a browser. Definitely don't give any personal information over your cell phone or over the computer, and definitely don't carry more information than you absolutely have to carry in your wallet regarding your social security card or your bank information. The current scams that are out there, there's undelivered goods. So online chains are claiming to have much needed goods. So anybody need toilet paper? That's one of the scams that's going around. So check out the seller by searching online for the person or the company's name, phone number, and email address, and check out the reviews for them. The fake charities, do your research and make sure that these are really legitimate charities. Many use names that appear to be literal legitimate charity groups. And then robocalls. Of course, we have fake coronavirus cures that work. You can get the home schemes. Just hang up. Robocallers, don't press any buttons. The recording might say that by pressing a number, you can speak with a live operator or remove you from their call list. Just hang up. Don't even do anything. And just the misinformation and rumors. Scammers and sometimes well-meaning individuals share information that is not accurate. And so you really want to make sure that you are going to the sites that are helping you. So go to the CDC website. The University of Idaho has all of their links listed on their website. Go to the hospital's website, but don't get your information from Facebook. Facebook is not a reliable source. Your friend that heard something from a friend who heard something from a friend. This is how all this misinformation is started in the rumors, and it's not helpful. It just causes that anxiety. So find the resources that are helpful. The current scams, this is another one, fake emails or texts and phishing scams. All these things are just things that are going to help keep you in a financial situation that's not helpful. If you do find out that you're a victim of identity fraud, make sure that you're contacting the credit bureaus. There are actually 4 credit bureaus, but we've got 3 listed here. But there are 4 credit bureaus. You can go to my website and take a look at the identity theft packet, and it'll give you all of that information and what to do. Contact your banks and creditors. Make sure that you are reporting the crime to the FTC.gov and your local police, and keep a copy of that. Monitor your mail for any new accounts that are opened in your name and any different things on your credit report inaccuracies. You want to make sure that you're monitoring your personal information as well, because it's not just about your credit, it's also about your medical accounts, your IRS, all that stuff. So making sure that you're monitoring your credit reports, your bank and credit accounts is important, but definitely everything. If you're having a problem with a creditor or lender, definitely contact the CFPB.gov. Use the phone scam blocker application on your phone. And so just hang up, don't press any numbers. The recording might say that pressing a number will let you speak to a live operator or remove you, but pre-screened offers, you can opt out from all of these by just calling 1-888-5-OPT-OUT or visit optoutprescreen.com, and then you don't get any of these offers. There's all sorts of resources here to help you with that. And again, I'm just going to zoom by this so that we can finish this off, and then we'll have a little time for questions. So making sure that you understand what your current financial situation is extremely important when figuring out how to deal with this. Making sure that you have created a spending plan that works for you. Confirming your debts, where are you now, and making that plan is very important. Knowing who your resources are. This is important. There are tons of resources in the packet of information. There is a whole bunch of different things in there that tell you exactly how to figure out who your family and community resources are. All your local, state, and federal resources. We have a ton of them. Our community is amazing. So we all come together and we all do amazing things. So when it comes to financial fears, that is that top thing that makes us just crazy. So definitely use what you have. Recognize those changes, even if they're temporary. Just to figure out how that's going to affect your household. Make sure that you set really good spending priorities. Involve the entire family. Call me. We're going to sit down and we're going to figure out a wonderful plan for you that's not going to be so, my brother-in-law calls me, he says that I know how to stretch a dollar so far that it makes the eagle scream, because I just know how to do stuff with budgets. I know how to shift things around so that they work really well. Make sure that you plan to pay your creditors. Watch for scams and have your action plan. This is another resource in your packet. It is making a plan and putting those actions into work. So this is all in your plan. Think about what what experiences might be helpful to others. If you guys want to jot them down in the chat box, what you think might be helpful to somebody else, and what your action plan is. What do you think you're going to do first to help you have a better action step for reducing your expenses or when your income drops? And these are the references that we were talking about. This is for the presentation. This reference right here, the consumerfinance.gov, is the CFPB. And like I said, they have just absolutely amazing resources. They have lots of money that they can do all sorts of really cool things with all sorts of different resources. So definitely look onto their website. They've got a whole section on the coronavirus on there that they can help you with thinking of different things. So with that, this was the presentation for Michigan State. And again, I am Karen Ritchell from University of Idaho Extension, and I'm going to open it up now. We're going to unmute everybody so that if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them now. If you've muted yourself, you can unmute yourself now. It's not good. There we go. And I'm going to see if I'm going to quit sharing my screen, and then I can see all of the chat box questions. So does anybody have any questions for me? No? So I'm going to go in here and read the chat box really quick and see if anybody has anything. So all of this information, is going to be online. So you can go ahead and go online and take a look at it. And if no one has any questions, I'll read the chat box, and we will see you for the next one. So thanks everybody so much for coming.
Bye.
Bye. Have a wonderful day. It's sunny and beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bet.